America has always been a little chaotic. Sometimes it does the right thing on purpose. Sometimes it does the right thing by accident. And sometimes quietly, in spite of itself, it starts building the future anyway. So let me offer a nice little spark. Not for the fireworks, but for your 4th of July celebration. Renewable energy now produces 30% of U.S. electricity generation. According to new data from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, renewables accounted for 30% of total U.S. electrical generation during the first 4 months of 2026. That is up from 27.8% during the same period last year. And this was not just one lucky number. Renewable electricity generation grew about 10% compared with the first 4 months of 2025. Utility scale solar grew more than 21%. Small scale solar grew almost 12%. Hydropower was up more than 15%. Wind was up too, though more modestly. At the same time, electricity from U.S. coal plants fell by more than 11%. Nuclear power was almost flat, and natural gas generation rose slightly. And here's the part that really feels like a milestone. In April alone, wind and solar each produced more electricity than U.S. coal plants. So, no, the climate problem is not solved. The grid is not magically fixed. And if you live somewhere like Texas, you should absolutely still have a blackout plan. But this is real progress, quiet progress, the kind that happens underneath the arguments, the headlines, the political theater, and the general American habit of making everything harder than it needs to be. Maybe that's always been part of the American way. Loud arguments on the surface, and underneath it all, people building things anyway. And the future should be even cleaner. EIA projects that utility scale renewable capacity will grow by nearly 56,000 megawatts over the next 12 months, about two-thirds more than the previous year's growth. There's an old and wise saying that you are not required to finish the work, but you are not free to walk away from it either. And I think about that a lot with climate change. We are not going to fix everything. We are not going to hand our kids and grandkids a perfect world with a perfect grid, a perfect climate, and no disasters to worry about. But maybe that was never the deal. Maybe the deal is that we do the work we can do with the tools we have in the time we get. We make the problem smaller. We make the next job easier. We can't hand them a perfect world, but we all want to offer them the best possible one. And when renewable energy reaches 30% of American electricity, that is not the finish line. But it is better than many people feared. And yes, sometimes solar farms really do become little wildlife neighborhoods. Sheep graze around some of them, pollinators move in. Rabbits do what rabbits do, which apparently look adorable while living rent free under the energy transition. One of the funniest things about America is that we can spend years arguing about whether the future should happen, while somebody in a hard hat is already installing electric car chargers in a Walmart parking lot. The other funny thing about real progress is that eventually it gets boring. It fades into the landscape. Solar panels used to feel futuristic, like something from a science fair poster about the year 2050. Now they're on rooftops, over parking lots, next to warehouses, beside highways, and out in fields where rabbits can apparently hop around underneath them like tiny, unpaid clean energy mascots. When it becomes part of the roof over your head, the shade over your car, the backup battery in your garage, or the field down the road, that kind of progress does not just make the grid cleaner, it can make energy a little more local, a little more resilient, and a little less dependent on one giant fragile system doing everything perfectly all the time. And sometimes, if we do it thoughtfully, it can leave a little room for nature too, like for grass, pollinators, grazing sheep, and yes, apparently rabbits with excellent real estate instincts. So, yeah, we Americans have got a list of problems and disagreements, some of them extremely critical. But at least Kat Monet's doom scrolls is taking the fourth off from doomerism and damage control to celebrate some positives that few thought were possible a few years ago. I hope you found this encouraging and would be pleased if you connected by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. The comments are open, and today, I'd love to read your thoughts. Until we chat again, take care, and happy 4th to my fellow Americans.